Objectively, Rift Apart is a great game, but it gets better because as the Ratchet and Clank fanboy that I am, in my honest opinion, it's also the greatest game in the franchise. Let's talk. Hello there. I'm Mr. Cobwobbles, this is Alfred, and I have a cat on my lap. That's Bolin. Bolin the cat is taking a nap on my lap. So it's illegal to move. I can't move, actually. I have played and completed Rift Apart 3 times now. Once on stream, normal difficulty, which will also be the footage that you will see during this video. Once on highest difficulty, and once on highest difficulty challenge mode. And now I can honestly say that this game is my favorite Ratchet and Clank game in the franchise. Now, allow me to explain why, and also spoilers for Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I will be talking about spoilers. Yeah, this was the spoiler warning. When Insomniac initially announced Rift Apart and said it would continue in the future series timeline, I was really happy. However, they also said the game would mostly have a standalone story that everyone would understand, even if you had zero prior knowledge of the previous games. And that, as a Ratchet and Clank fanboy, made me a bit scared. I managed my expectations in terms of the story and lore in this game, but man, I really didn't have to. There is so much backstory and lore in this game, and it really does tie in with the grander plot points of the series, but at the same time, they managed to make it easy to understand for people that have never played. It's remarkably well done and not easy to pull off, and what can I say? They did it. The story in of its own is not really that complicated. They keep it relatively simple. This is the most easy to understand plot about multiverse stuff that I have ever seen, and still be good and entertaining. Ratchet and Clank celebrate their past victories until Doctor Nefarious steals the Dimensionator that Clank repaired for his best friend, and Nefarious takes them to a dimension where he is Emperor of the Galaxy. The big goal? Take him back to their dimension and stabilize the fabric of the multiverse. That's it. That's the plot. And yes, it's super simplistic, but I think this game also really needed that. But everything around it, though, gives it so much more weight and meat that, especially for veteran players, is marvelous. Different versions from characters from previous games make their debuts here, and it's fantastic. We got Alt Rusty Pete, aka Pierre Lefer. We got Captain Quantum instead of Captain Quark. Skid McMarks has an alt in this dimension. Emperor Nefarious instead of Doctor. And of course, Rivet and Kit, the alt versions of Ratchet and Clank. And I say alt versions, but really, they're characters of their own. All these different characters have familiarity to them, but at the same time, they are also different from the characters we already knew and loved. Rivet is not just alt Ratchet, and Kit is not just alt Clank. Especially these two characters have totally different backstories and conflicts that I find so amazing. By the way, am I the only one who would play the heck out of a Rivet and Kit game and explore more of their dimension? The way I got attached to Rivet and Kit really dang fast, I was speechless. I love those two so much already. Riveting new additions to the cast of characters of this universe, I might say. I was also really relieved to see Emperor Nefarious become the main villain of the story instead of our Doctor Nefarious again. That was such a breath of fresh air, and I loved how menacing he was. So good. I kind of wish Nefarious would see his mistakes and team up with Ratchet and Clank and Rivet and Kit, but all in all, very satisfied with the story and how fast-paced it was. Loved it, especially the ending. Holy freaking crap. Great. I cried just because of how awesome it was. It was truly freaking amazing. And I'm 100% sure that a sequel to this is coming, and I hope we'll get to travel through dimensions to find the Lombaxes together with Ratchet, Clank, Rivet, and Kit. I'd love that. Insomniac, make it happen. Now, speaking of the Lombaxes, the lore building this game does is phenomenal, especially on the planet Savali. There's these lorbs that you can collect, and they can only be activated by Lombaxes, and they contain audio recordings from a dimension-hopping Lombax called Mags. He describes loads of dimensions, and they're basically Easter eggs to other PlayStation franchises and stuff. Like, there's one about Sly Cooper, one about Jak and Daxter, and so forth and so forth. But they also provide context to the Lombaxes as a species and a civilization. Mags talks about Caden, Ratchet's father, which is pretty freaking awesome, and how the Lombaxes mapped every dimension, including the location of theirs. And it's that map that Ratchet and Rivet have at the end of the game, and I'm so excited to see what comes next. I had zero expectations in terms of the lore surrounding the Lombaxes and stuff. And sure, I thought it would be addressed with Ratchet and Rivet meeting and stuff, but I had no idea it would be this prevalent throughout the entire game, and I could not be happier. Also, this cat really be sleepy. Sleepy cat. Yes, sleepy cat. What can I say? The gameplay in this Ratchet and Clank game is the best the Ratchet and Clank franchise has ever seen. Everything is so smooth. The strafing is delightful. The phantom dash to face through enemy attacks and platform your way through levels is fantastic. The weaponry, outstanding, and especially in the 60 FPS performance ray tracing mode, this game is so satisfying to play. The weapons this time around are great. Fantastic lineup. I actually have a hard time choosing my favorite. Almost every weapon has something about it that I love and adore, and the adaptive triggers on that controller elevate that experience even more, although I feel like they could have done more with the functionalities of the controller in this game. The only downside to the weapons I experienced was that you unlock new weapons really, really fast. Like, before the halfway point of the game, you will be able to buy almost all of the weapons already, and I would have liked that to be spaced out a little bit more. The arena, of course, is back, and it has fun and creative challenges to complete and waves of enemies to combat, although I did miss like an ultimate cup or something with a 100-wave mode for a big reward. That would have been lit. Other than that, traveling through dimensions or shifting through them instantly without loading times will never get old. The rifts during combat are super fun and satisfying to use. Gameplay-wise, this game is unbelievably fun to play. I love it. Your arsenal, experience, and gadgets are also shared between Ratchet and Rivet, which is very convenient. And while it doesn't really make sense in like the story of the game or whatever, it's just a nice thing for the player to not have to level up weapons between the two characters. I appreciated that, Insomniac. I appreciated that. What I would say could have elevated the gameplay even more was giving Ratchet and Rivet specific actions or gadgets or skills that made them more different from each other from a gameplay perspective. Character-wise and story-wise, the two are definitely unique and different, but gameplay-wise, they feel exactly the same, and it could have been an interesting opportunity to switch it up a little. Maybe that's something they'll do in a sequel to this game. I'm just saying, Insomniac, you could do a sequel, and yeah. Enemy variety is okay. It's not as bad as in Up Your Arsenal, but it could have been more varied. I really missed enemies that were native to planets, because the only one that really had that was Sargasso, and even those enemies were enemies that we've seen before in previous installments in the franchise. Most of the times you just encounter Nefarious's goons, and sometimes rifts open and brings you enemies from other dimensions, but it's mostly the same ones, so I would have liked a bit more variety, I guess. Regardless, it was still a blast to shoot my way through the enemies that were in the game. I have touched on the characters a little bit, but I'm legit in awe of Rivet. Rivet is such a welcome addition to the franchise, and I'm not gonna lie, I was scared that she was just going to be a copy of Ratchet, but I'm so happy to say that this is not the case at all. Yes, she's also the last Lombax in her dimension, but that's where the similarities stop, actually. She had her own personality. She's more straightforward than Ratchet. She's more impulsive, a rebel, and I love the message that her and Clank set forward throughout the game. Rivet lost her arm, and Clank did as well, and on top of that, his legs don't work anymore in this game. And at first, Clank struggles, but Rivet makes it clear to him that he isn't any less Clank. Their injuries do not define them. It's not all that they are. And I thought that message was really, really strong. Kit and Clank are also different enough despite having similar designs. Kit gets an entirely different backstory that intertwines with Rivet's, and I love it so, so much. I've named a few of the characters in this already, and like all of them are delightful and well acted. Character-wise, this game is easily S tier. I've talked about it a little bit already in the gameplay part of the video, but this game is truly the first game where I'm like, yeah, this is next generation. Just being able to walk through a rift into a completely different level blows my mind every single time. It will never get old. On top of that, graphically, this game is absolutely insane, and the performance of playing with some ray tracing and in 60 FPS is just so bloody damn good. Like, holy shit. Amazing. Also, the cat left. The cat left. The PS5 is an absolute powerhouse, and I can't wait to see how developers will push this console with their games. One more thing I would quickly like to touch on is the music, the soundtrack of this game. It's the first time in a long time that I actually love the soundtrack of a new Ratchet game. Last time I actually loved one was Deadlocked, to be honest, although All For One's theme song is a bop. This game has great music, and it takes inspiration from the soundtracks of the first 3 games as well. I definitely will be listening to the soundtrack while doing stuff, and I was listening to it while I was writing the script for this video, so there's that. I love it. In the end, whether I was finding my way through Nefarious City with Ratchet, traversing the swamps of Sargasso with Rivet, or solving dimensional puzzles with Clank or Kit, I was constantly in awe of what this game had to offer. I had fun. I laughed, smiled, cried, got angry at challenge mode. I got the full experience that I wanted with this game. Insomniac, thank you. Thank you so, so much for creating the best Ratchet and Clank game in the franchise up until now. Thank you so much. Let me know what you thought of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart in the comments below. And I also have more Ratchet and Clank videos up on the channel and more coming soon. You can check those over there. Anyways, thanks for watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, clicking that bell. Feel free to watch another video, and see you later. Hoot hoot, mother forkers.